Hey everybody, it's Comledex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. And today we're going to be playing the Avatar The Last Airbender Qualifier Playing Event. This is going to be best of one sealed, playing till 6 wins or 2 losses, quite similar to all the Arena Directs we've been doing in the past. So that should be simple enough there. But the prize out here is much different, as well as the entry fee. The prizes here is mainly that qualification into the Qualifier Weekend, which can then qualify you for a potential Pro Tour if you do really well within that Qualifier Weekend. So it's the first in a long series of events towards trying to get into the really, really big tournament level Magic. So pretty cool event for super competitive players, but it's also a great event for players like me who randomly end up with a lot of play-in points left over, either from being top 1200 or 1500 mythic in the previous month, or by winning best of 3 drafts, because this is our only event we can use these play-in points on. So I like to hop into these, spend my play-in points, and turn them into cold hard gems that we can use on anything else. So that's the goal today, really, just get any amount of gems out of the events. But hey, if we qualify for the qualifier weekend, we'll play that as well. So without further ado, let's bust open our packs and see what we get to play with today. All right, don't love the rares. Fire Nation Drill is incredible though, and it's mono card, so it should be pretty easy to fit into the deck. Iroh could be quite strong, but obviously pretty restrictive in terms of where we can put them, and it just depends on our instant and sorcery count. I've had some sealed pools with like literally no instants and sorceries in like blue and maybe 1 or 2 in red. And then if this is a sealed pool like that, obviously the Iroh is going to be pretty weak. But if on the other hand we have like multiple Lost Days and a bunch of red burn spells, this could be a very powerful Iroh deck. So very dependent on what else is in the sealed pool. The consistently powerful rares though, the Fire Nation Drill and the Tylee, everything else here is a little bit more narrow, really depends on what else is in the sealed pool. Okay, what do we got here? Colorless, we got a couple water skins for fixing, Meteor Sword at the top of the curve if we're super low on removal, and we run a bit of ramp. Any multicolored cards really pulling me in? I don't tend to look at the hybrid cards at this point because you can play them in monocolored decks as well. Like you can play it in green or you can play it in blue. So just kind of glance over those. There's a green-black earthbending card, a black-white sack card, but just one of each. So nothing huge to keep our mind on multicolored outside of Iroh himself. So let's just hop into each individual color now. Lots of removal here in white. Triple Path to Redemption, as well as a Sandbender Storm, the really nice tempo Glider Staff. Clear out a blocker, or like airbend a blocker, and then start giving one of your creatures flying every turn. This has been really good. Really, really good in sealed, because you can definitely get into some board stalls where the Glider Staff can absolutely end the game for you. The creatures here are really mediocre, but the spells are quite nice in our white. So if we pair it with a color that has a bunch of good creatures, we could have a reasonable deck there, but it's not the most consistent color by itself. Blue looks solid here. Not incredible, but solid. Couple lessons to go with our Iroh, which is pretty cool if we go for those colors. We also have the really nice Invasion Submersible and Tylee for excellent tempo creatures to play. Forecasting Fortune Teller is probably our best other creature. Snowballers, Paku, Geyser Leaper, Giant Koi, those are all super filler, but we can run them in sealed if we need to. Moving on to black, we have 1 Fire Nation Drill, 1 Deadly Precision for non-creature spells. Interestingly low on that. There's a lot of narrow and kind of mediocre creatures here. If we go really deep black, we can play the Cat Gator, which will want to have a good amount of black sources for the Fire Nation Drill. So honestly, I could see some kind of 10-7, 10 Swamp, 7 Island deck here. Will be a little bit awkward, but again, that is often going to be the case in sealed. We can't have like the perfect creatures throughout the curve. There's going to be some amount of mediocre spells in the deck for sure. But this gives us access to Fire Nation Drill, Cat Gator for 2 really strong cards, 2 removal spells as well, because we get a Deadly Precision. So it's not bad at all, and definitely, I think, a little more consistent than white. because it's offering very similar stuff where it's offering multiple removal spells, but it's also like offering specifically like a bomb removal spell and better creatures. Checking out red now. Got Firebending Lesson, Lightning Strike. That's pretty nice. Double Cave of Two Lovers. That is pretty legit there. So if we do go green, blue, and red for Iroh, that is starting to look a little bit more reasonable when we see what our red has. We have multiple burn spells we can recast off of the Iroh to be able to get a nice 2-for-1 out of them and kill 2 creatures out of them if we have Iroh on board. Yeah, I mean, if our green is good and has good fixing, these are the kind of like red removal spells you want to splash in with the Iroh. I don't love the creatures here though, so ideally, because our blue looked quite solid, we're probably trying to be green-blue and splash in the red burn and the Iroh. But these are great spells to have alongside that Iroh. So let's see, last but not least, come on. Let's get some green with a little bit of solid fixing. And just a decent curve of creatures as well. Come on, what do we got? Okay, very few green cards, but this is where it's important that I don't forget to look at the hybrid mana cards, because I forgot on basically every other color. So it's worth mentioning then towards white, we also had a cat, owl, and a jet, but I doubt we would be heavy enough in white to be able to consistently hit triple white, because white really did look like a support color, even if you add cat, owl, and jet, so not super into that. For that color, is there anything that we need to keep an eye on for other colors? Professor Zay, but we're going to be 3 colors, so that's unlikely. Yeah, so it's just going to be a bunch of green hybrid stuff, actually, which helps a lot. Now we have a lot more creatures here. More spells in general. A double Guru could be pretty nice with our lessons out of blue and red. I think I like them better than the Earth Rumble Wrestlers, even if I don't have a ton of lessons. I don't think this is going to be a very good Haru deck. 2 mana, 1/1 that very rarely earthbends. So let's see. Got any colorless cards here? We have the colorless fixing if we need it. The water skins. No green, blue, or red dual lands. We are incredibly low on duals in terms of fixing. So we play Firebending Lesson. We would play Lightning Strike. Iroh can flashback any kind of instant sorcery from your grave. You just get to flashback your lessons for just 1 mana. So it's worth mentioning. So there's that. And then in blue, Fortune Teller, Submersible. And our lessons are Waterbending Lesson and Lost Days. Kind of no other good, particularly good instants or sorceries here. Any shrines? No, the only shrine we really have is 1 copy of the blue shrine, so that's not going to be a thing for Guru. Green, blue, splash, red. Far from the best Iroh deck I've ever seen, but 3 removal spells to flashback with them. Actually 5 of them, Lost Days as well. It's the stuff you really do want. Creature count is 16 here. We have 16 and a Submersible, kind of like 17, so we could cut a Meteor Sword and a creature. Maybe one of the Platypus Bears. The card is super filler, and we don't have any graveyard recursion in this sealed pool, so if I play it and mill the Iroh, it's a pretty big downside. That's another thing to think about this deck. Like, looking at it here, how are we winning the game if not with Iroh? Our 2 and 3 mana creatures are mostly pretty mediocre, very small ball. I mean, I guess like I've got other filler 6-drop finishers, right? We got the fish, we got the Saber-Tooth Moose Lion. We only have 3 cards the Guru can hit. It digs 5 cards deep, but when there's only 3 potential hits, I might just cut double Guru. Play it like this. Yeah, it certainly looks pretty mid, but that has been my feeling on just how sealed decks look in general, and compared to draft decks where you really get to focus on that mana curve and those synergies. Yeah, this is probably actually pretty solid by sealed standards, and Meteor Sword is likely playable with double water skin and an audience. This looks pretty reasonable. Would not be surprised if I am just going to be more happy with the blue-black build, though. Because I think we're going to get access to more creatures there, and we'll still have pretty much just as much power. Because we'll have, instead of an Iroh, we'll have a Fire Nation drill, which is also quite busted. And then we'll still have, you know, the Ty Lee in there because we'll be playing the blue. The Invasion Submersible will still be in there because we'll be playing the blue. Yeah, I'm going to save this deck. And then just double check the mana base real quick. It's actually an 8/6/3, weirdly. But I'm going to save this deck and then take a look at blue-black in comparison. I feel like I'm going to like that deck better, just more consistent of a curve. More consistent of a game plan when we're not hitting specifically Iroh, or I guess in blue-black's case, specifically the Fire Nation drill. I also feel like the fixing is just not great. The fixing was 100% just the water skins. Not a huge fan of that card. No green fixing at all. No dual lands in that color pair. Okay, this is 16 lands right now. So we put in one more land, cut one card. There's got to be something hybrid that we run in here. Not really. Our hybrid cards are not the greatest. I could play a Cat Owl over like a Foggy Swamp Hunters. Probably for the best. Double blue for Professor Zay when we're going to be on like 7 blue sources. It's just not even a super exciting card even when you are like blue-red at the core. Just decent. We could play Ruffians as something filler if we need it. But the blue hybrid cards do not look like where it's at. Yeah, I think it's definitely like the green-blue-red or the blue-black build here. And I'm an absolute sucker for Cat Gator, so I'm feeling like this is where I'm heading. Plenty of filler creatures to choose from in terms of what we cut here. So we have a waterbending lesson, clue token from a Lost Days, maybe June forecasting fortune teller. Okay, we do actually have some amount of random draw twos. Wolfbat might be better than like Hog Monkey at least. Still don't love the Swamp Hunters, but probably better for the curve here. Got triple Geyser Leaper as well. These trigger the draw twos as well, so that helps the Swamp Hunters. Try to upgrade from super bad filler to mediocre filler. Do I go Snowballers over Peddlers? We have a lot of higher up stuff on our mana curve, so I don't love Earth Village Ruffians in this kind of deck, because it's like you have to trade it off and then you have to keep that land untapped to actually get the value off of the extra body that it provides. So you don't really want to end up using that mana on your Earthbended land often. But this deck really wants to use all of its mana every turn and get very, very high on the mana curve. I mean, I suppose for Swamp Gator purposes, because these last cut decisions are between a bunch of very filler creatures, we could just cut like one of the Geyser Leapers and the Snowballers, or like a Master Paku and a Snowballers. Yeah, I mean, we have 2 lessons in the entire deck, so Master Paku is just not even trying to do the mill thing. It's just a 2-mana 1/3 prowess, which looks pretty bad in this deck. We have like 5 spells that trigger it at all. I have plenty of other just 2-mana 2/2s. Yeah, I don't mind cutting 2 blue cards, and cutting 2 cheaper blue cards in the mana curve means we can wait longer to hit our blue mana. Actually genuinely go 10 swamps, an 11-7 split. Sure. Again, the cards that are staying in over, those are also really mediocre, but it's were the last additions to most sealed decks. What's worse, Earth Village Ruffians or Hog Monkey? Pirate Peddlers, even if it never gets a +1/+1 counter on it, just a random Death Toucher could be okay in here. I feel just buying time to get to these late game finishers. It's probably just the Hog Monkey, right? It's not even like a water bend on the exhaust or anything, just a full 5. 3 mana, 3/2 probably just trades off into a 2/2 before you get to the late game. Even if you do, it's a 5/4 menace. You've invested 8 mana. Yeah, not super into it. We'll play the Ruffians still. All right, looks like a perfectly reasonable deck here. I get to play my favorite card, get to play some Cat Gators. We've also got Fire Nation Drill and Submersible for some really busted vehicles here. Very solid curve out, decent amount of interaction. Precision Submersible Drill Lost Days, little bit low, but beggars can't really be choosers in sealed. The only thing we could do to get more would be like splash into a third color, which is hard to justify if I want to play the Cat Gator, which is where my love for Cat Gator may be hindering us a little here. It might be better to just drop Cat Gator, play like a blue-white duel and some water skins, and throw some Path to Redemptions in here. I could see that. But if I keep the Cat Gator in, then Cat Gator is our kind of our fourth or fifth removal spell, however you want to say it. If we get to 7 mana, that can clear out pretty much anything. So solid looking little deck here. Excited to see how it does, and more importantly, very excited to go turn some play-in points into some gems here. Here we are on the play for game 1. This is a really nice hand if the game goes long. June plus Merchant of Many Hats can draw cards for a bunch of mana in the late game. And it's also not that bad at helping the game to go long, right? Because this can trade off or chump multiple times. This is going to slow them down, bouncing something. This looks like a really reasonable opener. Opponent Island cycles the Giant Koi on turn 2. Ty Lee Chi Blocker. Wow, these are some really solid draws so far. Play moderately off curve here to play the June, because if they don't play a creature on 3, if they just like tap out for Water Scan or something like that, then I would be pretty unhappy to have held up Ty Lee and just cast it without stunning somebody. Okay, I do not want a Submersible, a Messenger Hawk, so we will Ty Lee that now. Send in the squad. Wish Deadly Precision was instant speed, because they could have some weird flash creature here. Blue, green, black. Feels like a removal spell. Don't remember the flash creatures in the set super well. There's the 5 mana 5/5 eel. They do not have the mana for that one. They could have their own Ty Lee, I guess, in which case they would just flash it in before I attack, probably. Yeah, no, I think we can send here. This is more likely removal than a flash creature. It could be the 1 mana +1/+1 untap a creature. But with all this mana up, June can sack anybody that's going to get blown up. Well, what do I do here? I could sack Merchant, pick it up, but not quite recast it yet. Doesn't feel worth it, which means I just do nothing for the turn. A little awkward, but overall fine. Just a draw spell from our opponent. We could Submersible their Clue token. That way the summoning sickness on the Submersible would be gone here. So we could have another 3/3 attacking next turn. With an opponent at 8 life, that is definitely something to consider. Although that would obviously be better pre-combat. We've got the Prowess trigger as well. Rebellious Captives. 3 mana up. Alright, well, works out fine we didn't do it yet, because now we can just submersible the captives. Still have our June mana up if they throw any removal at us here. Allies at last. It's going to be 3 damage to Tylee. If I had another instant here, I could blow them out. But sadly, I don't. So we either exhaust and crew the submersible right now, or we sacrifice the Tylee for a clue token. If I sack the Tylee for a clue, I kind of do both, right? This, the clue, and the submersible can all tap. All right. And they're down to 4. They're down to 4, and June can be unblockable every turn from now on, if we need her to be. Just poke for 2 after sacking a clue each turn. Earthbender Ascension is not going to block a June, but it is an incredible card. They get a 2/2, they get any land from their deck into play tapped. There's Rebellious Captives again. Yeah, this looks like a just finish them off with June kind of game. If June does not end things for us, if they do find removal for her, we have the unblockable Giant Koi to one-shot them. But I think it's better here to just get in with June, since she's already out right now. Let's just play the Pirate Peddlers and then sack the clue. Get a counter on that as well. Not 100% sure that the counter is worth waiting there. See, double block there, 1 block there. I think it's just these 2. We just get a 1-for-1 trade with Merchant to whittle down the board. It's fine. So they have to removal spell June and play another blocker, and they do not have a removal spell in hand, and we get to start things off with 1-0, get some amount of gems out of this no matter what. Very similar hand this time. The June and the Submersible early on. A lot of lands though this time. It was a 4-lander off the start, and our first draw is the 5th land. Green-white absolute curve out here from our opponent. The Momo turn 1, so all of their other flyers are 1 mana cheaper, and they'll buff the Momo the turn they come in into the 2 mana Compassionate Healer out of green-white. Might be enough on the defensive here to just trade June off. We don't really have good synergies for her right now. And they're on the play going 1-drop, 2-drop. If they just go land 3-drop, I would really have preferred to just get this healer out of here. So I'm going to just take the trade. Sometimes you have to throw solid creatures under the bus. Alright, I mean, as long as they don't have another 2-drop, which they don't, that still slows them down here, which was the point. Now here's Earth Village Ruffians to trade into the healer. There is land 3. They did miss it last turn, so they kept a 2-lander there, didn't find land 3 until their 4th turn. There's Haru. Yep, definitely the full-on green-white allies deck here. I think we bounced the Haru, because if I bounce the healer, then it's like, boom, there's a trigger for Haru as well. Doesn't feel lovely. And obviously 2 mana is the most expensive creature they have right now. We definitely want to bounce one of the more expensive creatures. Raucous Audience for a mana dork. That'll certainly help them here. There's Geyser Leaper to stop the Momo. I believe the Waterbend on this is instant speed indeed. So if Geyser Leaper does not get blown up by removal, it's going to be super helpful here, considering we are a little flooded. We should have a good enough... Oh god. I was going to say we should have a good enough board defensively to slow them down here, but that just immediately made Momo a 4/4 flyer. Most of the creatures in the green-white color pair are allies, just because most of the white creatures are allies. So they're all a lot of like human allies. Momo, though, lemur bat ally, that is. Like a trade into the Geyser Leaper. Surprised it didn't attack with Momo there. So I would not have been super happy to trade, but I think I would have to here. But they may have an additional combat tricks they can attack in next turn once they have more mana up as their plan. Fortune Teller off the top into some more mana. This is where Geyser Leaper kind of waterbending abilities can shine a little bit though, where we get to hold up all of our blockers, and then after declaring blocks, we can tap all of them to activate the Geyser Leaper waterbend and do some more digging. So our blockers are dual purpose. They're both holding our opponent off of attacks and letting us dig with Geyser Leaper. Jesus. Genuinely does feel like a draft deck here. That is 3 ally rares. The Zookeeper's not really an ally synergy card, nor is the Momo, but they are ally card types for the Earth King's Lieutenant busted ally rare. Now we cannot block the Momo profitably. It does look like we're just going to get overrun here, but we'll see what Geyser Leaper can do for us. Can find more mana. And then we can find another land. Then... we can find another Geyser Leaper. Well, obviously not really the draws we need right now. Actually getting pretty close to dead on board already. And that'll do it. I don't know if that's exact lethal, but I believe we're dead. Oh yeah, we're certainly dead. And we block the 4 biggest creatures, and even if we technically survive, it has to be 4 chumps. Gross. Oh man, they only drew 4 lands all game too. All spells, all gas. And we were just on too many lands here to try to keep up with a great hand like that. Yeah, I mean, we'll just block the biggest creatures to make sure that if technically we could survive, we do, but this is 12 damage still, I believe. Alright, incredibly unwinnable game there. Not a lot you can do about that. That is magic for you. 1-1 heading into game number 3. Alright, here we are for game 3. Solid little opening hand here since we have the Fire Nation Drill. Probably the strongest card in our entire deck. Honestly, one of the strongest ones in the whole set. So that is the plan, just make it to a Fire Nation Drill and go crazy with that thing. Tons of ways to crew it. Multiple merchants that are both 2 power apiece. There's Appa. Did they make Appa smaller? Or am I losing it? That looks a little smaller than I remember Appa being as a pet. Surveil with the Judy. Dang. Our one non-submersible game. Submersible would be gross against the Judy token. Island submersible here. I mean, they could have a quench, but I don't think I care that much if they quench Trebuchet, so we'll just run it out here. Abandon attachments. Discard a card, draw 2. Waterbending lesson, so a whole bunch of digging to try to find their powerful spells. It's Cat Owl, better than playing a single 2/2, that's for sure. Fire Nation Drill awkwardly doesn't really work against Fire Nation Drill. So that's tragic. Nor does Deadly Precision. But Fire Nation Drill does not have reach or anything, so we just play another flyer and try to get Trebucheting in with it. At the same time, I'm gonna start taking 6 a turn now. It's a lot of removal. No creatures, though. Makes sense. Play a merchant, pick up a merchant. I guess I can just hide the next merchant then, since I'm not holding up an instant here anyway. I could pretend to have a quench. I don't think that's going to stop them from doing anything. Beetle-headed merchants. Crew the drill, send in 6. That's too big for our drill to kill. So I have to Deadly Precision that. But then 2 merchants would be enough to trade into their drill. I think I have to... I mean, I guess I have the mana to just cast Deadly Precision for 5 and then play Merchant post-combat to have my 4 power and toughness up against the drill. I'm tempted to attack, hit for 4, then I can sacrifice the boulder from the Trebuchet to the Deadly Precision. But it's like, if I have the 7 mana to do it all anyway, worst case scenario is they quench a Merchant. Yeah, let's just do it all anyway. I guess the other part to consider, though, is like, what if they don't have another creature in their hand? Then I'm holding up the 2 blockers for nothing when I could have just gotten 4 points of free damage. It's a little hard when it's a vehicle instead of like an actual creature. It's like, we don't know if they have a creature or not for sure. We knew they didn't have one the turn before they played the Beetle-headed Merchants, so... It stands to reason they need to draw another one if they want to crew the drill. Hope their hand's like all removal, because our board's pretty good against removal, just a bunch of merchants. It is not. There's Foggy Swamp Hunters, but that can die to our drill, and then our drill can trade into their drill. On blocks off of just a single merchant holding up. It does have to tap, so we can't actually block with it the turn we play it. Watery Grasp. That actually does kill the merchant, but a Death Toucher does kill the drill. Hit for 4. Play a Peddlers. The Peddler's going to be a 3/3 Death Toucher. Can trade into the drill. We get trampled for 3. And that's if they play another creature. Again, if they're out of creatures, we are in an incredible position. They pass through. I have a 5/7 to hold up on blocks. I believe that means we go for lethal here. Because I'll have solid blocks up if things go wrong. Here's 11 damage. They have the sold out on the drill, fair enough. Still in a great position. We have their life total, have a big enough blocker to take no damage from the drill next turn. And the Koi is 5 unblockable power, even if they somehow make a bunch of creatures. Feels like our most likely way to die here is just rares and mythics like a board wipe, like the Rise of Sozin or something. Boomerang Basics on drill is good, but I don't believe it's good enough for them to not die next turn at 5. Yeah, I mean, they can't kill the Koi with it. They could kill the Peddlers. Yeah, they could kill the Peddlers, but not the Koi. Plus, if they don't kill Trebuchet, then even just Merchant by itself is 4 out of 5 damage. So even if they could, like, replay that and kill Koi, they're going to 1 there. All right. Close game, actually. A lot of pressure from them being the first to play the Fire Nation drill. We kind of had to wait a while because there was just nothing that we could blow up with it. And I don't think we're supposed to just run it out without blowing something up. So we were taking a lot of damage early, but still managed to come ahead in the late game. And we are 2-1 heading into game number 4. Game 4. Very mediocre curve of creatures, but a curve of creatures nonetheless. Or I guess the curve itself is good, but it is a curve of mediocre creatures, mostly. But it is, I mean, it's 2, 3, 4, 5. That's kind of perfect. Slow down, white deck. I need to live for the late game. Ruffians is rough against Pox Bears. Ooh. Fire Nation Drill is sick. Just submersible this token. I don't mind it because Ruffians is really bad on blocks here. Quench off of the hideout. Plot twist. Kyoshu Warriors is the play. Drill that. They've got 2 1/1s afterward. Just holding up another Quench here. So we go Ruffians. Could Ruffians crew an attack and then also play a 2/2 post-combat? Like maybe they counter June, I guess. It's absolutely worth the crew and attack because it's hit for 6 and then take 2 back. If they removal spell drill, that likely taps them out of the quench, and that's also fine because it got its 2 for 1. Okay, that sadly doesn't tap them out of a second quench. Since they didn't have to tap the hideout for that. The hideout is any color for lessons. So they can just go blue and 1 still. And they must have a lot of removal if they choose to exile Ruffians over drill. That means they probably think they can just kill all of our creatures that could crew the drill instead. We are jamming. Alright, they gave up. They're gonna kill the drill. Means we'll play the Swamp Hunters instead of the Geyser Leaper here to be up a card. Path to Redemption, the Swamp Hunters. June is quite nice against that. Make sure they don't get the 1/1. Tap land is actually quite awkward. Because I really want to be able to like play a Leaper and also sack the Swamp Hunters, and I cannot do that. I think I have to sack the Hunters regardless. Crack a clue. If I hit an untapped land, I can put Merchant back to hand. If I don't, I play a tap land and crack the other clue. Perfect. We're at the life total advantage and we're attacking first as well. I think we're supposed to attack here. However, I do also think we're likely to have a better late game because we have the extra card advantage. So I don't think it'd be crazy to just hold up June and have neither player take damage for a while. Drop a Geyser Leaper and a Merchant here. Land first so I can Geyser Leaper with Quench mana up in case they open multiples. We know they're already running them. They're going to crack the Iceberg, give us back our 3/1 here to scry. They are desperate then. That or they have a board wipe. Feels less likely. I don't remember. As far as I remember, the mono white board wipe in the set is a temporary one. You just airbend everybody. Oh, I should have drawn a discarded card. 6 unblockable damage. 6 is not lethal, but it's pretty good. Find a Trebuchet. there's a concession from our opponent. Kind of rough mana for them there that game, but they always had the filtering out of the hideout at least. So they still had one blue, but they might have had like a strong double blue card. Just took way too long to get to. All right, great stuff from the deck. I mean, we hit the biggest bomb rare, and we get the victory off it. That is going to be 3-1 now, heading into game number 5 with a positive record in the event no matter what, and 3,000 gems as the minimum prize out. Okay, here we are now on game number 5. We're on the play. No blue source in the opener, but any land gets us to be casting the majority of the hand, and if we don't hit the land, we could swamp cycle the crawler on 2 to make sure that we do. But we hit the land here. This is another opportunity to swamp cycle the canyon crawler if I feel it really necessary to hit the hunters instead of one of these, but I'm just going to play the ruffians. Curious farm animals, so I have to keep in mind they've got a naturalize on board here. I assume they just trade into ruffians here. They're going to trade a combat trick into ruffians instead? No. Cool. And then now we're going to have 3 2/2s on board if I drop Wolfbat. Instead of swamp cycling, that feels worth it. Just pressure them here in the early game. Path to Redemption on Wolfbat. They're stuck on 2 mana. It is going to be a while till that Wolfbat gets exiled. There's a Planecycler, the Rabaroo Troop. Triple white now. We've hit our 4th mana now. Play the 4-drop and hit for 4. They're down to 13. They're on 4 mana as well. They're still mono white. That would be very impressive to end up with a mono white sealed deck. Outside of like pre-release where you could pick a specific color and you'd get a pack of like only cards in that color. But in regular sealed, it feels almost impossible to end up mono-colored. So they are likely stuck off of a 2nd here. Just going to keep playing better and better creatures as the game progresses. Here's a Geyser Leaper now. There's Aang, the Last Airbender. Excellent, excellent card. One of the top uncommons in the set. And it is going to buy them a chunk of time here. We find Cat Owl. Aang's only got the 2 toughness here, so sending the squad in is still pretty impressive. They probably trade into the Death Toucher, go to 5. Ooh, Indestructible Lifelink Trick. That's very good. If we held up the Lost Days, we could have gotten the blowout there, so it might have been better to just hold the swamp off. Just to have Lost Days up. Alright. Solid turn for our opponent. Not really in the market to swamp cycle here. Still, so I think I'm just going to play the Cat Owl to be mana efficient. It is slightly smaller than Geyser Leaper, but Geyser Leaper is going to be a lot easier to double spell with on a future turn. Giant Koi. Okay, well, Giant Koi could really end the game with its unblockability, so now I am pretty cool with swamp cycling. So we play the Geyser Leaper. Well, I might have to Lost Days this Cat Owl, though, so I can get my ground troops in as well. But I'm feeling like Swamp Cycle Crawler to be able to play the unblockable Koi is quite reasonable as well. I'll go Lost Days and Flunge. If they have a 2nd hexproof trick, that'd be quite lucky. Double of these, same uncommon. I guess we untap the Cat Owl in case they like don't block here, and then when I like try to get a lifelink swing with Aang next turn. What is this sealed pool? It is all the white spells. The double white combat trick. They go with the Aang, the Enthusiasts, and the Captain. Sealed is such a wild format. Yep, poke me. Play the Leaper. This is 1000% trade. Unless they have the third combat trick. And this will be kind of the free swamp cycle, probably. Nope. I can Fortune Teller and Island Cycle, or Fortune Teller and Geyser Leaper, though. There's Cat Owl. Beautiful. Big 2.5 shot fish is here. Go to 14. Deadly Precision is the draw. It's an additional cost. They can't respond with their path, too. That's disgusting. It's gotta be Cat Owl because we're gonna play a Geyser Leaper. Oop, too late to path. Play a Geyser Leaper. I almost feel like we're like, well, no, I need to give the Giant Koi unblockable. Yeah, never mind. I was gonna say I almost feel like we're playing the Leaper and then just holding up enough permanents to draw and discard to bring back the Wolf Bat, but I need to tap enough permanents to give Koi unblockable anyway. Zuko's Exile. That is actually pretty fine. Now we're on triple Clue in a bit of a top deck war. We've got the Flyer as our unblockable threat. Yeah, that is super fine. I think Zuko's Exile is really quite bad, so it's rough when you are kind of forced into running it. But it is a bit self-imposed. If you go for the full mono white at the point to where you have to play like Zuko's Exile instead of just like splashing a little bit of a second color for some other removal spell. But, I mean, hey, we might still die. Go to 9. And just trump Enthusiasts infinitely with our Merchant. Draw a bajillion cards. Get another Flyer as well when we do so. Okay, I guess I don't have the mana to replay Merchant here, even if I pick it up, so I'm just going to keep drawing. At this point, I'd rather use Geyser Leaper than the Clue, because I've got very expendable cards to discard. Go to 5. That explains the mono white. So if we don't kill them here, we are in pain. Oh my god, deck. You've already done this to us once. You can do better than that. So I just need any way to deal 1 extra point of damage, like Trebuchet. Or I do need like a bajillion blockers. That was the literal perfect draw for our opponent. I think we die. I mean, we also haven't drawn Cat Gator a single time all day. We could draw Cat Gator here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana to play Cat Gator. We wouldn't be able to afford it if we do draw it. I think we just die to top deck Gather the White Lotus. Genuinely here. If we don't hit Trebuchet, it's just mana. Trebuchet is only 4 mana, and it's our 1 out. Or sorry, Trebuchet is only 3 mana, and it's our 1 out, so I can pay the 4 off of the Geyser Leaper tapping the Fortune Teller. Are there any other outs? I should check for sure. Nope, it's Fire Navy Trebuchet. Cat Gator would have been an incredible draw at any point, but it's too late now. We're tapped out of it. Fire Nation Drill would not do it. Yeah, it's all in on Trebuchet here. It's all mana. It's all mana. Well, that was brutal. Gather the White Lotus for 7 1/1s. They were a single damage from dead there. What a sealed pool. The full mono white multi-combat trick with Aang. They had to run some real rough cards. They did have to play Zuko's Exile. The Curious Farm Animals is super filler as well, but just for the power of Gather the White Lotus, I think they decided it'd be worth it there, and it certainly was in the end game. If I had to guess, that was probably the only card in their whole deck they could have drawn to win there as a top deck. But that is Magic for you. It'll be 3-2, still a very positive record, still going to be turning some play-in points into a bunch of gems today. Another look at the sealed deck. Pretty happy with this one. I mean, we could have played the Teamer deck. The fixing was not great. Having to play the Water Skins as well. And again, the deck looked less consistent in general. Prefer Fire Nation Drill, I think, as the bomb than the Iroh. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this build. I think this is about where we should have been. Certainly the colors. And everything we drew got to play pretty decently. Never drew the Cat Gator, though. It would have been an incredible draw in literally any of those games. Pretty much always ended with a whole bunch of lands out, including mostly swamps for it. Yeah, rough. I mean, obviously, probably could have played slightly different and gotten an extra point of damage in somewhere there. We'd be 4-1 right now, but take whatever I can get, turn some playing points into some gems, and get back to drafting starting tomorrow. So that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube audience send some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.